that down.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary pals and gals out there. Hello, welcome to the Mixed Masters Final here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships in Limerick, Ireland. We are at our first Worlds after the lockdown for the past 2 years, and this is so exciting. We have Descent from DC with the disc right now, playing off against Epoch from Canada. I'm Troy Weston here on the comms with my dear friend, the inimitable Benji Reese.
Don't you dare try and imitate me. Thanks everyone, delighted to be here. We've got Descent in those luminous orange jerseys beginning the game on offense.
And we have Davis now with the disc, punching it downfield. An IO backhand will hang up, and that is a D for Epoch.
Yes, Céad was able to rip that one out after Spiver was looking for that really attacking inside break, but just showed too much of the underside of the disc, and it floated in the air, and Epoch gobbled it away.
Disc swings back to Auger. Over to Genet. Auger on the sideline here. Epoch looking for their first break of the day. Dandorin with an OI flick. That will be brought down by Molly Roy of Descent.
So, after a little bit of a shakiness there, trying to force that disc in, Descent doing a very good job of getting the disc back on. Again, another floaty throw. The wind inside this natural amphitheatre can be quite swirly, and it causes a problem for a lot of the teams, especially considering neither have played here. Spiver turfs it, but this might be a foul call on the throw. Antoine Genet is on the mark.
Looks like they're just given a quick chat about it. This is the final game here for the Mixed Masters. Winner to take home the title of World Champions. Descent moving it down the sideline. An arcing backhand finds their first score in the end zone. Descent with a turnover in the middle of the game, or Point managed to get it back for their first hold.
Yeah, Kelly Hyland, a player who is very popular around these parts, having played with Ireland and winning the gold medal at the European Championships back in 2019 in Győr, Hungary. Getting the disc on the sideline, doesn't really care about that mantra that you shouldn't try those same third hucks. Gets it out into space nice and early, and Tucker chases it down right to that back corner to give Descent the 1-0 lead.
Now, Descent and Epoch have met before in this tournament, haven't they, Benji?
They have indeed. It came in the power pool stage, power pool K, if you're just interested in what they assigned it. Both of these sides beat Reading and Snowbirds relatively comfortably, but when they faced each other, Descent pretty much smashed Epoch. 15-5 the scoreline, which was, yeah, a bit of a shock, I imagine, not because Descent are a bad team, but for an Epoch side that had been undefeated until that point, it was, yeah, maybe a little bit of a wake-up call.
Bartenstein with that hanging pole right outside the end zone line. Cabot centers the disc. Seeing a bit of a junkie zone look from Descent. Cabot.
Pick downfield is going to stop proceedings. I don't mind coming out with this zone early on, especially because it might take a bit of time for the teams to adapt to the conditions in the stadium. Just thinking, okay, we'll see if we can try and force a lot of throws, maybe make you hold the disc for a little bit as well.
Skorski built well there. Trying to find a reset to Jerem. Well there. And that was a great catch under pressure. A little bit of a collision there as we see the two players just trying to recover from that.
Yeah, the Epoch coach coming over just to help Paradis off the field.
Do you think she managed to hang on with it despite that bit of a bump?
CSA, no, that's not CSA. I think that might be... No, I think it is CSA. It is, yeah, the 96 jersey coming on as the replacement player. Doesn't look like Descent are going to make a sub off the injury stoppage.
Well, there. Cabot. Oh, sorry, Dag. That's Cabot in the end zone. It will fly over the players. It looks like Descent got a piece of that to knock it out of any potential grabbing Epoch in the area.
This is two potential scoring shots now for Descent that they've, for Epoch, excuse me, that they have just hung up there a little bit, and Descent have a lot of athletes on this defensive side, and if you put up these sky balls, you're going to see the amount of air that they are able to get coming underneath it. First from Shane Rock, and then from Cranston, who gets the tip out of the far side.
Berenstein with the overarching, but a huge layout bid by Cabot on the end zone. Oh, and there will be a call.
Yeah, the pick happened, I think, a little bit of time before the throw, which kind of takes the sting out of the tail, but doing the right thing there, making sure that you've always got to want to retain possession, so they can't just say, you know what, we'll retract the call and take the turnover.
Oh, again, that was Daigle on the layout bid. I keep mixing those two up. Both wearing the backwards caps are messing with my eyes.
Yeah, it doesn't help as well that the jerseys, they've got the kind of the numbers outlined, but the otherwise in the same sort of colour. And again, a request to teams, give us nice, clear block numbers, please and thank you. Another stoppage downfield. Game advisor signalling a pick. The game advisors are not referees. They cannot make binding judgments, but they are there to provide ease of communications, rules clarifications, and their perspectives if asked. But again, their judgments are not final, and the game advisors in the green jerseys for this game are Dominic Smith and Guillaume Chevreau.
Berenstein checking in the disc. Little give-go up the line into the power position, but no one is there for the Huck continue that I think he might have wanted there. So he swings it around to Bacon. She gets the Huck off. It is going deep, and oh, an unfortunate miscatch from Denicourt. Couldn't quite get a hold of that, so Epoch another chance to hold their offensive point.
That's unusual from Denicourt, who usually is dominant in that deep space. But that time, I don't know, maybe looking at the next pass, maybe just took it a little bit too casually, as we mentioned. In this wind, nothing is can be taken for granted.
Bolio looking to get it off that line, finding Jérim. And another big flick Huck looking for Deigel down the field, but overthrown in this swirly wind here in the bowl in Limerick.
That one's the opposite, where previously they've hung these up too much. That one was just zipped too much. They got a little bit of that roll curving blade on it, and it took it kind of zipping in towards the turf. Maybe a little bit of a flatter release, giving the receiver the chance to run it down, would have been the better option there.
Descent with another chance to break. Cranston moving the mark around. Finds Berenstein. Over to Bacon. And the big Huck from Bacon again. There is an Epoch player waiting and blocking off the receiver. Great positioning there on defense that we see from Cersei.
Yeah, trying to get these connections to Shane Rock and to Denicourt. A couple of players who may recognise in the mixed division, not out of DC, but playing with Minneapolis Dragon Thrust. But they just haven't been able to, again, to get that working early. Going for the deep game, often a good idea because it opens up the offense generally for the rest of the game, frees up a little bit more space on any of those underneath passes. But neither side really got that fit and firing.
And that will be Cabot on the sideline to Deigel.
Another pick downfield. A little bit of rain beginning to come down now. It's not heavy at all. It's just kind of mizzly and drizzly, but it might make that disc a little bit more slippery.
Epoch working the descent defense, trying to find something downfield. Another pick is called. Both teams showing a vertical stack on offense currently. Quite
a lot of picks early. It feels like those stacks are really compressed and congested, and it means that defenders are unable to catch up, trying to work their way through all that traffic. Maybe both sides need to work on their offensive spacing.
Bolio up to Cabot. The around pass to Deigel, initially cut off, but he moves a bit back and he is found. Swooping across, it will not be kept in bounds, I don't think.
No, he tried to keep that back foot down, but it just wouldn't tap that turf, and his first body contact out of the pitch, and almost taking out Rob on that camera.
Denicourt with the disc now. Burtonstein and a break to the middle for Booch. Denicourt on a huge hammer over to the far side, and Descent get the first break of the game.
When you're in the red zone, those over-the-top throws can be a great way to unlock it, especially towards the break side where you tend to get quite regimented in the middle of the pitch. You've got a huge break side space to attack. If you can just find a way of getting a throw there, using the hammer for the over-the-top, you may think in this wind it's a little bit risky, but if you back yourself to generate all that motion, really flick the wrist, get that revolution on the disc, then you can pull it off with some aplomb, as we're seeing here from Denicourt. The lefty even rolling back into the path rather than with the righty hammer where it might have been trailing away out of the sideline. Descent draw first blood with the first break to take a 2-0 lead.
Now, you're Epoch coming into this game. You've previously played this team before. Not a great score that you had on the board the first time. What are you thinking to come into this game with, Benji, do you think?
Well, we asked them about it because, you know, it's certainly a notable blemish on the record. They wanted to take away the deep game of Descent, and we've seen they've got a couple of deep Ds early, and they also felt that when they turned over, which obviously they want to cut out, just kind of find a way to play with a bit more synergy rather than playing as individuals. They felt that the Descent really shredded them on the fast transitions, the quick pickups, that sudden change. So just being alert, making sure you're getting yourself in situations where if the disc does turn over, everyone's ready to go to try and get it back.
Vanas bringing the disc in. Bordelot.
Bump on the mark. You see the signals there for a foul not contested.
Back to Vanas. Looking for Auger up the line, and a huge block from Boylan Colchin on Descent.
Yeah, was trying to find the veteran journeyman Nasser and Vogel up the line, but the throw is just on the back shoulder rather than being slightly out in front, and that opens the door for Boylan Colchin to come charging through. When you're in those tight windows on the sideline, you have to be pinpoint accurate.
MacArthur centers the disc to Boylan Colchin. Back to MacArthur. Descent with their second opportunity to break early in this game. Buch. MacArthur. Epoch doing a good job of taking away those deep threats as they intended to on defense, but Descent proving that they have a good short game as well and just working their way down the field.
I think a travel called on that throw from Boone, just maybe not keeping that back foot down perhaps.
Boone back with the disc, looking for MacArthur. Good defense there from Bordelot, but MacArthur eventually finds a space. Nicholson up to MacArthur just outside the end zone and finds his receiver in the end zone for another break from Descent. 2 breaks off the bat.
Yeah, MacArthur to Boone makes it 3-0, and after they struggled a little bit on the previous point to get that break, where they were kind of moving it a little bit, but were turned back over twice. This time they are deadly accurate. Happy to play in this congested window down the near sideline, and just those big planting cuts that look like they're coming infield, and then when the defender overcommits, just coming back towards that open side, proving very fruitful. And the pronunciation guide the teams gave us, filling in their commentary source surveys, Peter MacArthur has indicated that his middle name is H. Do you think this is like it's actually a middle name, or like a Harry S. Truman situation where he just invented himself a middle initial?
I mean, it makes you sound a little bit more sophisticated, so I don't see why not.
Sure, it's quite presidential, thinking about like Harry S. Truman, George, the various Bushes, Lyndon B. Johnson. So you know what? I get it. Adds a slightly, air of authority to you. Epoch here are going to take a timeout, which makes sense to me, down 3-0 to start the game.
Absolutely. So as they take a little bit of a break, so will we. We will be right back. Disc swung around back to Vogel from Boisvert. Big pass will go out the back of the end zone. Epoch showing they're having a little bit of difficulty reading this wind, sometimes underthrown, sometimes overthrown. The disc is difficult to control in this wind, especially as it does change every second, it feels like, in here.
Yeah, their final warm-up, they're playing a little bit of 3-on-3 some mini in one of the end zones, but of course the end zones, you're kind of going laterally, whereas when you're playing on the larger field, you're going a bit more vertically, so I wonder if that's causing alteration on some of these throws, or whether it's just those finals nerves. Timeout called.
Okay, the score being 5-0 for Descent versus Epoch. I feel like we're still seeing a lot of grit on the field from both of these teams. The score not necessarily representing the intensity that we're seeing from both of these teams, but as both teams take a breather, we will be right back as well. Welcome back after this third timeout of the half. Both teams getting 2 timeouts per half. If you're just joining us now, we have Epoch from Quebec, Canada versus Descent from DC, USA. Canada versus USA in the finals again at this World Masters Ultimate Club Championships in Limerick.
Yeah, so far every gold medal has gone to the US of A, the stars and stripes sitting pretty, and at the moment it looks good for 4 from 4.
Bacon with the big huck. She has put up a number of beautiful hucks, but with pressure from Vogel, and Miner is not able to bring that down.
Yeah, Miner had it in his hand, but I guess just enough pressure on the defensive side from Epoch to earn that turnover back, and then rather than walk it to the front of the end zone, maybe taking a page out of Descent's book and looking for the quick pickup, as Miner here is going to take the injury sub.
Cranston coming on for Miner.
And meanwhile for Epoch, Antoine Genet is going to take the field, and Jean-Philippe Jarrat is going to come off.
Yes, if one team takes an injury sub, the other team may opt to take a sub as well.
Yeah, the idea is that it prevents a team getting an advantage from having a player injured, which would theoretically stop people from deliberately calling injuries when they don't need to. Oh, good Lord.
Huge bid from Bartenstein.
I mean, just call him Superman at this point. It doesn't matter what his name is, because he put on the cape and the crowd on the far sideline clap in appreciation. What a play. Do you know what I love about that as well? Coming around the outside, clean as a whistle.
That's just pure athleticism, that is. Cranston punching in a smart sub, it would seem, as Cranston with the assist on that. Another break.
Yeah, Boylan Colchin with the score. So, Will Bartenstein. What the heck? Why aren't we allowed to swear on these things? Because I think I'm out of superlatives. You're seeing the score here, the sliding snatch from Cranston, and then it just past the bidding Daigle. Squeezes it in the end zone to Boylan Colchin. 6-0 now for Descent. But that point, I think, is all about that D from Bartenstein. That has got to be your play of the game. I mean, come off it. What a way to put on a show for the fans here in Limerick, at the University of Limerick, which has been a wonderful venue all this week. And, of course, for those of you watching at home, even on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel.
I mean, come off it for play of the game. That, for me, has been the play of the tournament so far. I think that is the best defensive bid and play that I have seen so far this week.
It's got to be right up there, surely. I mean, it was so clean. You could eat your dinner off that. That's how clean it was.
Away with words you have, Benji. Cersei. Genet. Big deep huck. Trusting his receiver there. But Cranston knocking that away.
He's trying to lead Bordelot right to that back corner. But again, just getting some float on these hucks. And to be honest, it would have had to be so accurate. It's such a high degree of difficulty going right towards the sideline there. And Cranston just read it and all over that one. Looking very Masters age Cranston with a visor, which I always think about being quite old school ultimate fashion.
Yeah, I think it is. Smullen there with the disc on the sideline for descent now to Denneker. Big huck from Denneker. Wow, that was, it just looked like Cersei turned on the jet engines, just ran around the descent player, knocking that out of the air.
I mean, A, brilliant closing speed, but B, that's all about the read for me, because when the huck goes up, obviously, it's descent with position, but Daly gets caught too far underneath it, and Cersei, rather than get suckered in as well, trusts her read, knows that I've got this, and I think she'd done all the work anyway in that read because would have had the opposition boxed out, but knocked it out the back anyway, just to be sure.
Turcotte having a bit of difficulty getting open, but finds a tiny window. Epoch now moving the disc across the field.
Yeah, I thought there was the wide open deep shot there for a second, but there is a pick. And we're all just going to take a little breather to get back set again.
Cabot putting the disc to the sideline. Big yard gainer.
Yeah, and that's accuracy because that was right into the gut.
Cersei. Reset cut options are cut off, but she does find a receiver downfield. Both teams really punching it up the open side, going both ways. And Epoch are on the scoreboard! And their team rushed the field. A very important hold from Epoch, making the game 1-6.
It took a little bit of time, but Epoch finally on the board. And as you mentioned, it's not necessarily come from the dump swing or from the long play. It's generally just squeezing it down the open side. This might be the key throw. You get a little bit of space off the line there with that inside shot before getting it into the end zone, and Epoch all come onto the field ready for the score. Celebrate, get those hands in the middle, get those fists up, trying to generate the excitement, generate the energy, and generate the enthusiasm.
Epoch with that so important point in this game, just hopefully gaining them some momentum here. They Epoch coming off of that timeout. Hopefully they have a chance to pump up their D-line now. Really need their defense to climb a bit of a hill to get out of this hole that Epoch have kind of dug for themselves a little bit. Although the descent defense, I mean,
It is stifling and it is a challenge, but it's the final of Worlds. You're going to get challenging defense. You have to back yourself to, you know, find ways to get free, and if you're struggling to do that downfield, keep resetting the disc, keeping with the fundamentals, keeping stall count lows, and giving your cutters eventually that chance to work themselves free and get open.
And this is the second time we've seen the Epoch defensive line take the field, the first time just being the first point of this game.
Yeah, where they generated the turn but couldn't put it in. So that will give them a little bit of a boost.
Wadach. Not seeing a lot of options downfield, but finally a bit of a yard gainer there to Spiva with the big huck. Epoch, excellent positioning again from Cersei there.
Again, you can see that Sean Keegan with that pink headband just trying to close the gap, but again, Cersei has a brilliant read on the disc, gets in position nice and early, and despite having, you know, the much smaller frame, able to box out the receiver for descent, and again, their O-line turns it over. This time, can Epoch work it for the break? It's always risky when you're hucking from one side of the field to the other, the full length, because it can take a while, and that allows defenders to close in, and there is a foul, I think, back on the mark, and it is uncontested. Sorry, I could see you signaling that to me a lot earlier.
I mean, I only noticed it moments before. I was so focused on that amazing D again by Cersei, who, in my opinion, has been Epoch's MVP thus far.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that for me.
Highland with the big huck and a huge leaping grab to Keegan just outside the end zone.
Yeah, Keegan's known for those athletic plays and then a little bit of creativity, well, returning the favour with that offhand backhand to Highland for the score, and 7-1.
We are just seeing some incredible defensive plays from both teams. I do think that Epoch is doing a good job of what they mentioned at the beginning of the game was their goal by shutting off those deep shots. They aren't allowing a lot of options, but Descent just proving that they can work the under game as well, and they're going to work it all up the field. We have our fourth and final timeout of this half. Each team only allowed to call 2, so we will take a short break. And we are back for some action in the Mixed Masters Final here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships. We have Descent versus Epoch. Descent leading 7-1. It is possible that Descent took that timeout to amp up their D-line to get them to go out there and get this final break point for the half.
Yeah, and in what might be a most obvious example of pathetic fallacy for this Epoch side, the heavens have opened and it is bucketing it down here in Limerick. It's been changeable weather all week, and as if to emphasize that point, the sun is out and also it is tipping it down.
Denekor with the pull. Vogel. Cabo. Back around to Vogel, working very hard to get open on that reset cut.
Yeah, it looks like he's got those friction gloves on his hand. Friction gloves which provide grip for your game, although even despite the conditions, I don't know if they can, I'm sure they probably could stand this level of wetness, to be fair.
An overthrow from Epoch. We'll have Denacor picking up for descent, possible to break for the half. Bacon getting underneath that disc.
Yeah, cheeky scuba from Denacor, a good way of taking advantage of the face-marking defender, getting it over the top. So by the time they've seen it, it's already too late.
And a round pass from Bacon up to Highland, just outside the end zone now. And a pick will stop the play.
We've already seen Highland throw an assist from pretty much exactly this position on the game's first point.
But a quick give-go, Denacor back up to Bacon in the end zone for the score. Break, pardon me, and halftime now.
8-1, and Epoch look like they have all the troubles in the world just weighing down on their shoulders. Descent have been dominant all weekend, and they're dominant in this game. It's going to be maybe some tough love, I imagine, from this Epoch side at halftime.
Yeah, we'll take a break as the players regroup, try to get back on the field in this rain and wind, and we will be right back after a quick 2-minute break ad with some interviews from the players on the field. Hello, and we are at halftime with the Mixed Masters Final at the World's Masters Ultimate Club Championships, Epoch versus Descent. And we have one of the players on Descent that's just going to give a quick interview on the field. Over to you, Benji.
Descent's Kathleen Ratcliffe, working the very fashionable moon boots.
Thank you, thank you.
Just for people who are not aware, not an injury you had coming into the tournament. Mercifully, not something you sustained this week.
Yes, I broke it 6 weeks ago, so I knew already I wasn't going to get to play.
But even in your absence, your team has put on quite a performance in that first half.
Yes, I think, we came into this game knowing it would be a tough game with the conditions, rainy, windy, sometimes not rainy, sometimes not windy. And we've been looking to really put a lot of pressure on defense on the other team. I think we've been doing a good job of that.
A lot of the time, after your team's generated the turnovers, rather than kind of take the slow start and get everyone set downfield, your team tends to quite favour those quick pickups and getting the disc in motion. Is there any particular reason for that?
I think with the conditions, what they are here in Ireland, what's been successful for us is looking to do those little give-go moves and move the disc quickly. And, we've run into trouble where we've taken too long and waited and let the defense set up. So we're really looking to push the tempo on offense.
Yeah, one final question. Is there anything you'd like to say to any fans who might be waking up early in DC to cheer you guys on?
Well, I'll say hi to them. I'll also say hi to my 2 children, Zavi and Ellie, who are watching somewhere else in Ireland.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Best of luck for the second half.
Thank you.
Back to you.
And we thank you for that, Benji. We also have an Epoch player on the sideline here, Shauna Howard, that would like to come up and answer a few questions for you, Benji. So back to you on the pitch.
Cool. Thank you very much. Shauna, very much an unideal first half. What sort of adjustments are you going to try and make for the second period of this game?
I think that the most important thing that we're going to focus on is just to regroup and find our rhythm again. We've kind of tried to adapt to their play, and I think that that's what's hindering us right now. We really need to come back to the basics, what we do best, what our team excels at, and once we start doing that, I think it's going to be a completely different game.
So changing things up again, was it kind of tough love in the huddle, or just kind of forget about that first half, wipe the slate clean and go again?
A little bit of both. I think we deserved it. We didn't start off so hot, so we do deserve a little bit of kick in the butt from our coach. But at the same time, we know that we can do better, and we all need to support one another, and we win this game as a team.
Anything you would like to say to the Québécois back home?
Merci tout le monde de nous encourager. On a hâte de vous voir et de gagner l'or.
Sure, I'll go with that. Merci beaucoup. Bonne chance.
Merci.
Back to you.
Thank you, Benji, for those wonderful words from the 2 opposing teams. If you're just joining us now, it is bright and early in the morning on the East Coast for both DC and Quebec fans. I believe they're both 5 hours behind, so it is somewhere just before 6 a.m. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on this live feed here on the WFDF YouTube channel. WFDF, of course, being the World Flying Disc Federation, the international sports federation responsible for world governance of flying disc or frisbee sports, including ultimate beach, ultimate disc golf, freestyle, guts, and individual events. Yep. I am your play-by-play commentator, Troy Weston, and I'm joined here by the wonderful Benji Reese.
Welcome. Thank you for having me back in the booth after that little excursion out onto the field of play. I'm pleased because everyone got to see the lovely bird shirt, which is a favourite of mine. You might have heard the whistles there. The game advisors for this game, Dominic Smith and Guillaume Chevreau, just using those whistles to remind players of time constraints and keep everyone all above board. Obviously, we've had a lovely week here in Limerick. Have you caught the bug? Maybe got a little limerick for us as well. You had a corker for the Great Grandmasters final yesterday.
Yes, and actually wrote this one with your help this morning, Benji. Thank you. So here we are at Worlds for the Mixed Masters final on the fields of the Emerald Isle. Descent or Epoch, it's time. Start that clock. Only one team can take home the title.
Nailed it. I thought that was I genuinely think that's really good. I like a limerick, although I must admit all of the ones I know are generally a lot dirtier than that and not at all suitable for a WFDF live stream. Hello to everyone watching at home.
If you got any limericks that you'd like to share on the live feed, we can read them out if they're not Benji style. But Epoch bringing up the disc. Cabot to Vogel, looking for the deep shot. Finds back to Cabot up the line. And Cersei. Big deep shot and a great grab by Daigle, I think, on the far sideline.
There's a pick in the stack away from the play, but okay, that's just disappointing for Epoch that score didn't count. But already on this point, it looks like they've shown a lot more synchronicity offensively than they did in the entirety of that first half. So clearly that little kick up the butt, as Shauna Howard so eloquently put it, might have done them the world of good.
Disc will be back with Cersei, and if you didn't watch the first half of this game, you should definitely go back and do so. Cersei being Epoch's MVP of the first half so far. And there she is again in the end zone with the score. Epoch with the hold, their team rushing the field. Let's get this energy up for the Canadians.
That's exactly what Epoch needed to start the second stanza of this game, because they were at 6s and 7s in that first half, finding themselves 7 goals down. But that was much better. They were working in rhythm, moving the disc quickly, you know, taking open options when they were there, but also with a tasty little inside backhand there from Yolan Cabot. Gets it out nice and early, and Jessica Circe, to go, in addition to the couple of blocks she generated in the first half, now has a goal to her name as well.
Epoch's D-line taking the field for the third time this game. Bit more of a mountain to climb for there. The mountain, of course, in Ireland being Carrantoul. Have you ever hiked up Carrantoul, Benji?
This is only the second time I've ever been to Ireland, and the other time I was in Dublin for all of about 16 hours. So unfortunately not, but one of the things that I have got on my checklist to do at some point.
And I say mountain. Oh my God! A Callahan! What a play! Nate Dandoret on the receiving end of that Callahan. That is exactly what Epoch needs. Oh my goodness!
I can't believe what I've just seen. Oh, I'm genuinely left speechless by that. What you're seeing is the value of a good pull, because it's deep into the end zone. There's the hang time, and maybe you just kind of take that first pass for granted, and all the volunteers and crew on this sideline are crowding around the replay screen because they want to see that go again. It was so quick, that camera didn't even get a shot of it. That's how rapid Dandoron was chasing that down to the end zone. We're going to see if we can maybe get it from one of the other cameras. Here we go. Just comes steaming through. Unbelievable.
So I've actually played with Dandoret. He lived in Vancouver for a few years and played with Furious George. And I know that one of his just lifetime goals always is to get down on the pull and cut off that first pass. The Callahan for the score, though. Okay, that is an assist on the puller for sure.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. If you get it straight off the pull, give the assist to the puller. Sure, I mean, we had that ridiculous defensive play in the first half from Bartenstein. From an offensive end, well, not even, because that was obviously a Callahan, so it's defense. Oh my, just ridiculous. Epoch might be firing back in this game.
Keegan. On right to Un. Looking back to Keegan. Dandorin again on the field, just probably very pumped from that Callahan.
Yeah, ride the hot hand. Keep him out there.
Highland. And a diving Davis keeps it alive. Keegan. And a round break. Spiva right outside the end zone, punching it in to Highland for the score.
Yeah, a bit more anticlimactic, that score, but for Descent, I actually think that's what they need to do. When emotions for Epoch would clearly be running high after the Callahan, you know, maybe don't put something in the air, you know, give him the chance to ride that crest of the wave of momentum. Actually, just kind of keep it simple, grind it underneath, just see if you can deflate that emotional balloon slightly and just kind of calmly playing it around that handler movement, give going, and then Spiva with the dish to Highland. And I don't think she'll have an easy goal all tournament.
I mean, right you are keeping the emotions steady on the Descent side. Not an easy thing to do. So just, I mean, I can't even speak right now. I'm still speechless after that Callahan. My emotions are still really high.
It feels like it's what this game needed, the spark that has brought this game to life.
So Descent probably wanting to put on another bit of a break run. Hopefully for Epoch, they can hold their O-line steady as they did in the first point right after half. Trotsky Boisvert with the disc. Over to Howard. Back to Boisvert. And Vanas really lining up for that huck, but now one from Cabot to Vogel, and Vogel will come down with that in the end zone, and a good clean hold for Epoch.
Nas, the legend. He was the big name in Ultimate when I started over a decade ago, and he's still showing that dominance right there. In this second half, I think what Epoch are doing better is they're breaking the mark with more consistency and regularity. It means, again, moving the disc more quickly, getting into consistently lower stall counts, getting over to the break side, so you've got a bit more, rather than trying to jam it down that deep throw down the far sideline, you've got more space to aim at in the deep window. And that one, that flick, blading, taking it over towards that break side. It leaves Cranston on Nass's back shoulder and gives him space to go up and rip it out of the air. Epoch in this second half looked like a different side. (9-4) now. If Epoch can, find ways to build on this, Descent are certainly do not have this game won yet.
Genet lining up for the pull for Epoch. Disc is centered to Keegan. Dandorin on the mark. Spiva. And a run through D from Howard from Epoch.
That throw from Spiva, he was guilty of that in the first point as well. He wants to get that low release, and he's got the disc pointed up too much, and it just pops it up, and Howard sees the window and just turns on the speed.
Dandre. Baudelot knocking on the door for Epoch's break. Genet. A round swing to Cersei in the end zone for another break for Epoch, and maybe the Jets have turned on. Maybe we're seeing the turning point right now for this team.
Game on, very much game on. We mentioned earlier that the Descent hadn't really been challenged too much this tournament. They mentioned that as well, that perhaps they were expecting to maybe have some games tougher than they were. Other teams have suffered with injury and illness, which has made maybe some slightly tougher contests. Give them maybe the easier end of things. But here, they've finally got a team that is, answering back. It's a 4-1 run at the moment for Epoch, and it's going to be a really a good test of Descent's mettle to see how they can deal with it.
Descent coming out of that half with a 7-point lead, 8-1. Now Epoch showing strong in the second half, a 4-1 second half for Epoch. This game is just getting lit. Vogel with the pull for Epoch, keeping out a lot of their strong players. We see on that line, huge arcing pull, lots of time for the defense to get down there.
Yeah, as the crowd's on the sideline beginning to fill that grandstand after enjoying some Irish hospitality last night, they're beginning to cheer on the underdogs here in Epoch.
Davis, big backhand break. Wide open Bacon. Oh no, that's Highland, pardon me. Oh, that was nearly a miscatch. Really great grabs and on that second effort from Descent.
Well, even when Descent score now, It's not making it. It's not nowhere near as easy for them as it was in the first half, where it felt like at some points they just had Epoch constantly trailing and never really putting that much pressure on. In this second half, Epoch are a different side. This was a nice find down that far sideline to Davis. She opens up the arm to Highland. And then in the red zone where space can get a bit congested. Oh, it's just off the hands of Denicourt. And the focus there, yeah, very clearly off the ground. Great shot there, captured by our Ulti TV camera crew. Descent, get the hold just about to reopen a 5-point lead at 10-5.
So Descent mainly coming from Washington, D.C., so lots of previous players from DC Scandal and DC Truck Stop, but they do have a few pickups from across the country, as Benji mentioned.
Yeah, there's that Dragon Thrust trio of Erica Bacon, Brian Schoenrock, and Caleb Denicourt, and the trio was due to be a quartet, but Sarah Mextroff pulled out for something called the World Games. Don't know if you've ever heard of them. A reminder that you can watch those, the preliminary rounds of those, on WFDF.sport, with coverage provided by the Olympic Channel online.
Weigel. Trotsky, Weber. Ooh, oh, a near grab from that second attempt by Cersei, but it will be a turnover.
Yeah, just compare that to the at the other end where Descent got away with it. Epoch, unfortunately, able to. If they wanted to have the comeback, it feels like they have to have those weird miscues and oddities go their way.
And Bartenstein just out of the reach of Bacon there in the end zone. Good diving bid, but just a little bit too far.
Yeah, the defender tried to cut underneath there, but actually just the throw rolled too far out in front.
Weigel picking up.
Use it, Doug! Use it!
Oh! I thought that was another Callahan, but instead we've got Cranston with the big D just outside the end zone. Book. Back to Cranston. Around to Bartenstein. There's a pick, though, on the play.
Cranston was all over that. Knew from the calls from the sideline that they wanted that reset and set the trap and sprung it brilliantly.
Patiently waiting for something in the end zone. Forced to reset. Little give-go from Denicourt and Bartenstein.
I like that. You know, not seeing anything towards the end zone. Just work backwards a little bit. You give yourself a bit more vertical space, and as well, you get the disc moving.
Little dishy scoober into the end zone. Descent with the break.
Yeah, maybe that was just, maybe it wasn't a comeback from Epoch, but just a little wobble. And Descent now steadying themselves a little bit with that shot over the top to Daly on the far side.
And you can actually catch Ashley Daly's husband on the stream at 5 later on with oh no, never mind, sorry, that was the semis game yesterday. If you wanted to see her husband in the semis game with Johnny Encore when they took on Boneyard,
yeah,
go and check that out.
Yeah, Johnny Encore are playing the bronze medal match in the Open Masters division this morning, but they got knocked out by Boneyard in the semis yesterday, and the Open Masters final is up next on this pitch with Boneyard from North Carolina, USA, taking on Voltron 2010. I'll put my teeth back in. Taking on Voltron 2020 of Seattle, Washington, USA. That's Washington State rather than Washington, D.C., where Descent are from.
Yes. Very confusing for that, because if you're not from North America, or you don't know this bit of information, Washington D.C. is actually on the east coast of America, Washington State being on the west coast of the U.S.
And Washington D.C. is not a state, despite having quite a large population and just the seat of government.
Vogel.
Well, that was awkward, but they made it work.
Riopel back to Vogel. Over to Howard. Resets. Genet. It's a bit of a collision on the field, but the disc looks like it's going to stay in the hands of Genet.
Yeah, I think it was a pick, but deciding that Genet was always going to get there and very spiritedly helping the opposition player, Melissa Auger, back up to her feet. Another pick downfield. You see the game advisors on the far sideline in the and the near sideline in the green jerseys, echoing the calls. The jerseys for the game advisors and for all the gear for this tournament provided by VC. It's been outfitting the world's best ultimate players since 1998.
And Beaudet could not catch onto that one under pressure. So MacArthur now picking up the disc, centering to Bacon. An interception from Vogel. Gives Epoch back the disc. Vogel managing to toe the line. Very good awareness of where his feet were. And the big flick huck into the end zone. But that is going out the back.
Yeah, just too far. Someone obviously had their poutine this morning. Is that too Canadian? I can't imagine having poutine for breakfast, but I don't know what Canadians would have for breakfast. Canadian bacon and maple syrup, there you go.
I mean, if you were going to have it in any country, I found that absolutely everything here has been served with chips or fries if you're American.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome to Ireland. Also, I've just realised that Nass is French, so scratch that whole joke.
What a great bid. Way to keep the disc alive from MacArthur.
Yeah, presence of mind after missing it on the first opportunity, going for it on the second, but this one is going to pop up out the sideline. Genet is going to make sure there's no possible opportunity to toe the line.
And immediately puts it deep for Vogel, but that I don't think was ever in bounds.
That's the risk with those sideline hucks, is that you've got to make sure you get the right edge on it just to give a receiver a chance at making a play, like MacArthur made there. But yeah, and if you don't get it right and the disc tails out of bounds, not only is it a turnover, but the disc coming right back from where you threw it, and you're ceding a lot of that field position that you might have otherwise gained.
MacArthur to tap the disc in for descent. Bacon. Pick downfield. Players are signaling as only one player left cutting, but recognized in the end. Back to MacArthur. Bacon and MacArthur playing a bit of give and go. MacArthur finding a bit of yard gainage to Book for another pick.
Yeah, the spacing getting a little bit clustered and congested maybe as players tire out slightly.
Io gainer up the field to Boone. Back to back Bacon. Looks for the hammer, fakes it off. MacArthur up the line, keeping it in under pressure from Genet. Bacon. MacArthur. And it looked like a bunch of the Epoch defense was just crowded around to that far side of the field. A few open players on the descent coming across to the middle, and the break side will leave a wide open throw to the end zone for a score.
Yeah, Peczkowski was in space, but it worked because the thrower was all alone. MacArthur had no one near. You're seeing, yeah, Genet, I think it was originally matching up, goes into that front cone to really prevent that little jam in there, which makes sense, but there was just kind of no real communication with it, and it left MacArthur wide open. By the time Vogel was able to get into position and cover, it was just a simple pop into the end zone to Peczkowski to make it 12-5, and this looks to me, maybe not, I thought it was a timeout, but maybe not. Maybe they're just making sure to utilize the full time between points.
Yep, and did you know that WFDF, they have actually 107 member associations, which represent flying disc sports and their athletes in more than 103 countries.
Yeah, it's also a signatory of the World Anti-Doping Code. You might be able to see the face of the Discraft discs. Discraft are the official disc supplier for this tournament as well. And they just say no to doping on the front. And so, yeah, WFDF signing to the World Anti-Doping Code, trying to make sure that they keep sports clean and fair. Which I think ties in nicely with the spirit of the game.
It does. Bartenstein with the pull. To the back corner. That was a really nice pull.
Yeah, a long hanging pull as well. Means Epoch have to start from their own end zone.
Daigle. Another pick. So if you're a basketball fan out there and you're thinking, what? Aren't picks a good thing? Not in this sport.
No, because the nature of Ultimate is a non-contact sport. The reason picks are cool is because the pick is is because it prevents players from basically charging into each other at high speed, potentially causing injury.
Skwatsky Boisvert up to Daigle. And a kneeling pass from Vanas. Daigle again. Good high pressure defense from Descent. We'll see a turn.
That backhand from Daigle just had too much Tabasco on it, and it's going away from the receiver as well. And Skwatsky Boisvert had a hell of a job trying to reel that one in, and yeah, just zipped too hard for her. That you just need to put a bit more touch and finesse on that throw.
Bartenstein with a leading pass up to Denneker. Back to Bartenstein, another leading pass, but he keeps it alive with a big bidding grab.
Bartenstein's a big play machine.
Cranston and Bartenstein now doing a bit of give and go, working outside the end zone, trying to find something to punch in.
Wouldn't surprise me if they look to go backwards a little bit now.
Denneker a bit of a bobble, but manages to hold on to it, and a nice end zone continuation to Smullen. But there may have been another call on the field.
Yeah, there's potentially a call on the field in the centre, and I'm also not sure whether she was inbounds on that far sideline. It's so difficult for us to get an angle as we're right here on the far side, at least at first look. Seeing it again from that high view camera.
But they are actually calling it in for a score.
Yeah, again, it's close. Can we get a shot of it here? Not quite, I think, because Denneker is standing right in the way, although we can't exactly blame him for feeding us, given that he's involved in the game. But they called it a goal, and that's what's important, that the players on the field come to a resolution they're happy with. And Descent now just 2 points away from victory. That Epoch comeback that looked like being an absolute firecracker might have turned into a little bit of a damp squib in the end. 13-5.
Yeah, Epoch coming really strong out of this half. Descent going, we may have to turn up our juice as well. Matching Epoch again, and just now cutting them off with 3 more breaks in a row. Yeah,
full credit to Descent actually for answering the challenge that Epoch put on them. They've been dominant this week, I was going to say. No teams come closer than 8. And yeah, it looks like Epoch might not be able to get any closer either.
I do really like the team spirit that we do see from Epoch after every single point. All of them come onto the field listening to the captain and coach just calling the lines, giving advice to the players on the line. It's a really nice camaraderie that we're seeing from that side of the field.
Yeah, it means as well that everyone can be involved on the sideline, try and give as much involvement and communication as possible. It's not just about the 7 out there on the field. You want to use the full depth of the roster as the throw is just behind, and it's turned over on the first pass.
Oh dear.
And Keegan to Spiver just like that. You could feel all of the air just get pushed out of the Epoch balloon.
And you can see Keegan just turning to his coach after that point saying, can we just roll the line? Can we stay on? Because that wasn't a very long point.
Yeah, I will tell you that not all 7 of them can stay on because they need to change the gender ratio after this point. But it looks here like Epoch are going to take a timeout. Why not? You've got nothing to lose. Both sides have 2 to take a half. And it looks like Epoch are taking, or maybe not. I thought they were, but no, they're just huddling up and getting ready to go out there.
I thought they were too, but again, it's just the camaraderie of the team all coming together on the field in between every single point.
Yeah, the game advisors are, constantly reminding teams how long they have between each point. Hear them blowing those whistles so delicately on the sideline.
So another O-line chance for Epoch. Descent with the consistent breaking in the first half and the latter half of this second half.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a comeback from Epoch to take it to 9-5, and since then, 5 on the spin for Descent to really run away with this.
Genet and Daigle. Back to Genet. Big gainer up the field. Laberge. Carredi. No, Arsenault actually, to Daigle. Big across break into space. Odette to Genet with the big huck to the end zone for Daigle, and that one looked easy for Epoch.
That is a beautiful throw from Genet, a brilliant visionary look, because I must admit, just trying to see that player just in the peripheral vision, making that deep strike, and he perfectly bisects the Descent defense. It's almost surgical in the precision, getting it over the traffic in the midfield and then getting it to drop right into Daigle's arms. Brilliant throw, expertly executed. And Epoch getting on the board, forcing Descent to try and win this on offense, although obviously Epoch now will try and get that break train rolling.
It is literally now or never for Epoch, as Descent are just 1 point away from taking home the title in this mixed Masters division here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships in Limerick.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to be here all week, and you can watch back all the games on demand for free, for posterity even, on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel as WFDF promotes the growth of disc sports worldwide and the spirit of the game. And we also have 2 more live free games for you as well today, with the Masters Open Final starting at 12:30 local time and the Women's Masters Final starting at 3 o'clock local time.
Keegan. Highland. Back to Keegan. Big gainer flick up to Wodach. Daly. Back to Wodach. Finding that good flow on that swing around. Over to Spiva.
Yeah, towed the line there. Good presence of mind.
Keegan now center of the field. Back to Spiva, looking for something in the end zone again to finish this game off for Descent.
And Bacon throws it to the floor.
So Epoch have a chance here to save the game point. Vogel. Julien Kedovi.
Pick downfield, but nice give go there from Epoch. We've seen Descent run that well, and Epoch maybe taking a leaf out of their playbook, getting the disc moving quickly.
Howard with the disc, and that's just a bit too much pressure on the disc from Wodach. He will go for that double happiness on game point, and he finds it. The throw from Keegan, and that's the game. Descent, the world champions in the Mixed Masters division here in the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships 2022.
Descent have dominated the condition all week and ascend to the title of world champions. Commiserations to Epoch, who put up a brilliant fight and a brilliant performance, especially at the start of that second half, having dug themselves that huge hole, desperately tried to claw their way out of it, but in the end, Descent were just too good and finishing here on that deep shot from Keegan to Wodach for the win, and the heavens have opened as a celebration.
Not a moment too soon for the ending of that game. Just a big round of applause. Descent showing true form, staying strong throughout this entire week. Not showing a moment of weakness, really, but I do still have to give play of the entire game to that huge Callahan from Nathan Dandorin from Epoch. That is going to be on the highlight reel for sure.
100%, and there was a brilliant layout bit on the far sideline as well from William Bartenstein that was insanely clean. Both sides tried to bring their best to this game, but Descent able to get there on a more consistent basis, as they have all week, and they will now desperately try and get dry, as will Epoch, before the medal ceremony.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been my pleasure and a privilege to host this game with Benji Reese, and I'm Troy Weston, and we just took you for a spin. And just don't forget, this is copyright 2022 World Flying Disc Federation. See you next time.
Right now, he's gonna have to bid. Just a football.
Huge layout block. Unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed.
Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Spear.
Alti.tv